Scott, what first drew you from a career in as a chiropractor to an investing career in digital assets, and what lessons from that transition um, shaped the way you approach markets today?
Hmm. Well, I've enjoyed investing for the many, many years. I've been investing my own money since my 20s. So for 30 years, I've enjoyed doing investing. And then about 2020, I came into crypto. And when I got that going, man, it got me interested in crypto because I saw how much money some other people were making, and I really became interested in the technology. And Uh, let's see what things. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot the second half of your question.
Yeah, the second half of the question was sort of how's the transition from being a chiropractor to being an investor like shape the way you think about investing today? But it sounds like you actually started investing maybe even before you were a full-time chiropractor.
I did. Oh yeah, I was full time chiropractor since my about 25 years old. I did my own investing since then. Some of the things I learned along that journey and getting into crypto is, man, to think for myself. I In earlier days, I don't know what it was, 2006, 7, 8. uh, I invested in Netflix and I made a good deal on Netflix. And really, that came down to thinking for myself. Uh, I was at a friend's house. I saw the video on the counter, and they explained the process that they don't have stores and they don't have employees at all these stores. And I started thinking to myself, man, I've been running my own business for 10 or 15 years, 10, 12 years at that point. And I realized, man, Netflix, they don't have the stores, they don't have the employee costs. And from running your own business, these are major obstacles. And I knew right then, that's all I needed to know about Netflix was that their competition, Blockbuster, and all these mom and pop places, man, Netflix had a whole new model. And the overhead is what was shocking. The overhead was going to be so much less. To me, as a business person, that just made sense. I didn't have to do a deep dive. That just made sense to me. I bought in then. I sold it probably 10 years later, and that was a good deal. Same thing with crypto. When I got into crypto, I started studying blockchain, and because blockchain is really what crypto is, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're all blockchains. And when I started to understand more about blockchain, it just made sense to me to do that. And as the second part of your question of one of the things I learned along the way was uh, learning to think for myself because a couple of people, Dave Ramsey and Warren Buffett, man, people I had followed for years, they were both talking negative on Bitcoin. And I was like, man, it just makes so much sense to me. I really had to overcome that hurdle to do something that they were not, well, they weren't doing. And I really had to put thought into that. And for me, one of the things was Warren Buffett really didn't invest much in technology. He has a lot of stock in Apple, but other than that, he didn't really invest in technology. And he doesn't invest in Bitcoin for the same reason that he doesn't invest in gold. And that is that they don't have a dividend and they don't produce a product or a service. So I kind of made peace with that. And I thought, okay, they don't, Bitcoin doesn't give a dividend. It doesn't have a product or service. That's why he doesn't like it. But most importantly, he only invests in things that he really understands. And as far as Dave Ramsey, big follower of Dave Ramsey. In my 20s and 30s, I was getting out of debt. I had a lot of student loans. I really followed what he said, and he was not approving of Bitcoin. And I thought, man, here's another guy, another mentor, another person I admired their abilities in finance, and he wasn't talking. He didn't like it. So I put a lot of thought into that and listened to what he said. And really, I think it comes down to his audience most of his audience is people who have a lot of debt, and they're trying to get out of debt. That's what he's selling, and that's what they're buying as a way to get out of debt. And I agree that people who are in debt, they shouldn't be investing in speculative assets. So, in order to in order to really buy Bitcoin and get into it, I had to overcome that hurdle that these two guys, Warren Buffett and Dave Ramsey, people I admired, were not in favor of it, and I had to go against that, and it ended up working out for me.
How did achieving financial freedom through crypto asset investing change the way that you think about building wealth today?
Mainly, you don't have to do everything the old-fashioned way. There's different ways to make money, and that's what I ended up doing, making money in crypto. I was getting, I was in my 50s, getting closer to retirement, and crypto put me over the edge on that. So for most people, you can have real estate, you can have some crypto, you can have various avenues of making money. You don't just have to put all your money in mutual funds and hope for the best. I mean, we all have to have a certain amount of mutual funds for diversity, but it mainly taught me that there's more than one way to make money.
And what got you to start Crypto Investment Partners LP? What motivated the decision to do that as opposed to just continuing to invest your own money?
Well, friends and family. I had people, friends and family, who said, "Hey, Scott, I want to, I'll give you some of my money, invest it for me, and I'd like to make some money too." And I kept saying to them, "Well, I can't really do that. I can't just put your money in my account and on Coinbase and invest your money." So I started explaining to people, and I wrote out 2-page directions on how to get a wallet and how to go to Coinbase and how to protect their stuff. And then one day I was just sitting around thinking, if I had a fund, if I had an investment fund, that would be a way that I could invest their money for them. So it really came down to friends and family wanting help doing it, and starting a fund just seemed to be the easiest way.
And how would you describe your investment philosophy and approach to the digital asset markets today?
I'm pretty conservative on my digital asset allocations. I used to be, I go for some of the smaller altcoins. Some of them worked out great, some of them didn't work out at all. So my philosophy of one is long term. I certainly think long term in all my investments, not just crypto. But if you take a long term investment philosophy towards Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, you're going to do pretty well. If you get caught up in the short term noise, it's going to be a rocky, rough ride, and you're probably going to end up panic selling it. So my philosophy is I go with the larger coins, the proven ones, and I plan to hold them long term.
What characteristics do you look for in evaluating a new crypto asset project to see if it's viable or not?
I put a big emphasis on the team that is putting it together. And if they've had success in previous crypto projects, that's a big win. Who's backing it financially? And use case. What kind of use case do they have as far as, what are they going to plan on doing? What are their capabilities? I don't really invest in meme coins. So mainly comes down to the and use case and financially who's backing it.
How do you distinguish between long-term viability and short-term noise in sort of a fast-moving asset class like crypto assets? Because I know they can be volatile at times.
Woo, they sure can, boy. They are volatile. You know, for long-term stability, I pretty much go with the larger altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. If they rank these in market cap, Bitcoin being the largest market cap, and they make a list from there down. At this point in my investing career, I don't really get outside the top 20. I used to chase number 50 and number 100, but man, those things are unpredictable. They're even more volatile. So, yeah, my plan is to stick with larger coins. And then the short term noise, man, there's always a lot of chop in the price from day to day, month to month. And that comes from geopolitics. It comes from something that President Trump tweeted or Elon Musk tweeted. Those things you pretty much have to ignore. There's nothing you can do about them. You just have to look long term.
How has your approach to the crypto asset markets evolved as the marketplace has become more mature?
Uh, More confidence in the market, crypto market. In the beginning, I started in 2020 in crypto. In the beginning, I was really enthused about blockchain, still am. But it's the crypto or the blockchain thesis that really got me going there. And I'll explain that real quickly, which is we all remember the first layer of the internet. At least I'm old enough to remember the first layer of the internet, which was email only. Or maybe you could look at a few websites. This was in the mid 90s. And that first level, all you could do was email. Maybe you could look at some websites. Maybe you could take some screenshots of websites, but you couldn't interact with the websites. So then along about year 2000, roughly, came layer two. And that is what we have today. That's what we know. And we have complete interaction. You can make appointments, you can make reservations, you can do all kinds of stuff, which we all participate in. Blockchain is layer three. Layer three of the internet is the security level, because at level two, we have all these things we like to do, but there's a lot of hacking. The security isn't that great. Man, I was Googling last night of how many companies in the last uh, 10 years, Fortune 500 companies, I think, gosh, I don't remember, it was a high percentage had been hacked in the last 10 years. So that's the problem with layer two. So layer three is, we're moving up to layer three. That is the blockchain level. Blockchain makes these things so much more secure. And it does that. It does that by, well, the best way to say it is that at layer two, like your data centers, where all of our data goes, is in one spot. It's centralized. And in the blockchain world, it's not centralized. It's in multiple computers, thousands of computers around the world. When things are centralized, if a hacker gets on the inside, they can pretty much do what they want. So crypto and blockchain, because Ethereum's a blockchain, Bitcoin's a blockchain, Solana's a blockchain. A lot of these cryptos are blockchains. That I could probably say solves that problem. I mean, a person can still get hacked on their home computer, but hacking a blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the base layers of those blockchains have never been hacked. So that's where I really got excited about blockchain, because layer one's okay of the internet. Layer two is great, but there's a lot of hacking. Layer three is blockchain, which solves a lot of those hacking problems. So that's where I got excited about it. And that just made a lot of sense to me, regardless of what Dave Ramsey, regardless of what Dave Ramsey was saying.
What role does risk management play in your approach to portfolio construction?
Yeah, I think if you're only if we start out with this, if you're well diversified in mutual funds, a little bit in some cash and some in bonds, and then you've got five, maybe 10% in Bitcoin. If you've only got 5 or 10% in a crypto, that in and of itself is nice diversification and nice risk management. But once you actually start to analyze that 5 or 10% in crypto, then I pretty much stick with the larger coins. And it all comes down to risk management, all comes down to when you're buying. And that comes with knowledge and experience. I wouldn't just take a stock tip and somebody says, go buy it. But, buying at the right price is crucial. now is a good time to buy. I think it's about July 7th today. It's price today was about 63,000 for Bitcoin, and I don't want people to get scared at 63,000, scared that you have to buy a full Bitcoin. For people who've never been in Bitcoin, you can buy as little as you want. You can buy $5 worth if you want, but so you don't have to have $63,000 to go invest in Bitcoin. But the price is down almost 50% since last October. And when it takes a big step back like that, it may go back down to 70% of what it was. But 50% right now, that's a good buying opportunity. That's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, but if you're looking for a price, and right now it's 63, that's a good price. It's around or maybe just below the 200-week moving average. That's a pretty good place to get in. If you get in the 50s, man, this thing is really on sale. And part of my investing philosophy is I buy the major cryptos and I buy them when they're on sale. And once it gets pretty high, gets in a new territory, record highs, I'm probably not buying. I'm just sitting around waiting for another 30 to 50% to 70% pullback before I put in more. Sometimes when it gets super high, I may trim off 10, 20% just so I can hold it in cash for maybe a year until I get a nice big pullback. So I like to buy things when they're on sale. Warren Buffett is a value investor. He buys the companies he likes. He buys them when they're on sale, when he thinks he gets a good value for them. He's not just buying it all the time. I consider myself that kind of a value crypto investor. I like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a couple others, but I'm not going to buy them when they're at all-time highs. I'm going to buy them like now. I'm buying some when they're on sale, when they're a good value. That's why they call it a value investor.
How do you balance discipline and conviction when markets get volatile?
Yeah, you gotta discipline that, or you gotta balance that. Really, in my opinion, with knowledge. The more you know about what you're doing, the more about what you're investing in, the more conviction you're going to have. So, for example, when I first got into crypto, I didn't buy for quite a while. I spent months learning, studying, going through all the YouTubers, going through all the research, the Twitter accounts of what everybody's talking about, really reading all the books about crypto, gaining the knowledge. So when you have more knowledge about something, you're going to have a lot more conviction. And the short-term noise at that point, the short-term noise becomes irrelevant. And it happens to the best of them. Some people panic sell it. I had a friend of mine came to me the other day. She's been in crypto for 3-4 years. But she was kind of investing in it because I was investing in it, because some people she knew were investing in it, didn't really know that much about it. So she came to me a couple weeks ago and said, Scott, I think I'm going to sell my Bitcoin and just cut my losses. About a heart attack, but it really showed me that she didn't have the conviction because she didn't have the understanding knowledge of it. And those of us who have a deeper understanding of blockchain, man, we're buying more. But yeah, that really surprised me. Someone who'd been in Bitcoin that long and been through a couple of cycles. And even her buying price was like 20,000 and it ran up to 125 and she wanted to drop it, sell it at 65. I was like, man, a couple more years, it's probably going to be 125 again. So long term, it's got to be conviction, which is made through educating yourself about what's going on. And I realize everybody can't do that. This is my full-time job. This is what I do every day. So I'm in there. I know what's happening geopolitically. I know what's happening in our local or in our presidential politics and upcoming midterms, and what's in legislation, what's likely to get approved a month from now, the Clarity Act. So I'm in there daily. That's a good reason for people to invest in a fund like mine, is that this is what I do full time. And if you don't want to have to keep up with all that, and then you can just invest with me.
What are some misconceptions that investors have about the crypto asset space today?
Oh, I would say one, that it's going to zero, or that it's a fad. As we talked a little bit earlier on blockchain, man, blockchain and crypto is not going away. If we look back at technology, every time we take a step forward in technology, we don't go back. I mean, we go from the 8-track tape to the cassette, and the cassette to CDs, and then we're at DVDs, and now you can't find a DVD. Now it's all streaming. So blockchain is the next step of the internet, and I just don't see us going back. About 60% of Fortune 500 companies are either implementing blockchain, or they have a plan to implement blockchain, or they got a committee studying how to implement blockchain. So blockchain's here to stay. I don't see us going back. We don't go back on technology when we find something better. And really, blockchain is making what we love now, layer two, it's making it safer. So I don't see us going back. Uh, let's see, there was something else I was thinking about that, but I kind of lost my train of thought.
What what technological developments within blockchain are you most excited about and you're closely following today? And what do you think that new development will do to the way business is conducted today?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think probably AI. AI is so hot right now. That's a big reason the crypto money is down. Crypto price is down because a lot of the whales who invest in Bitcoin, they rotated over to AI, and now they made a bunch of money. It's only a matter of time before they start rotating back. But AI, you put AI and crypto together, and that's a lethal combination. I haven't done much in the crypto space with AI because there's such a vast array of things in AI. There's NFTs, you got DeFi, you got all this stuff going on, and these are pretty much separate specialties, and you can't do them all. AI is one of those. It's a whole area of its own. Uh, if a couple of those AI coins get up in the top, 10 or top 20, and then I'll probably research them heavier. Once they're up to that level, then they're going to be, around to stay. Uh, saying that, there are some coins in the top 20 who are they're almost dead coins. So things I don't invest in. But yeah, if AI makes some coins, and it will eventually, up into the top, top 10, 20 spots, then I'll look more into them.
How do you stay on top of market trends and industry trends in the crypto asset space, given that it's a space that's constantly evolving?
Yeah, mainly because I'm fortunate to have the time to do it every day. Uh, I'm on. I have several crypto news outlets that I check in with every day. I want to know what's new. I want to know what's new with legislation, what's new with Bitcoin, where's Ethereum on their upgrades. So it's really research on a daily basis. That's my full time job, is researching this stuff and running the fund. So a lot of time on Twitter. The quickest things happen on Twitter. You get a lot of deeper knowledge on YouTube. Man, everybody knows you can learn so much on YouTube. But the quick information, when it comes out the quickest, is certainly going to be Twitter or X.
And what experiences from building your own wealth have proven most helpful in launching your fund today and managing money for outside investors?
The main thing is understanding. For me, the main thing is understanding what I invest in. You got to be on top of it. Someone asked me the other day, Scott, did you make money on Nvidia? I said, no, I didn't, and I don't beat myself up on that because that is not in my wheelhouse. That's not in my category that I'm in. I try and stay in my lane, but be good at what you're doing in your lane. So. Uh, I didn't make any money on Nvidia. unless I'm sure my mutual funds, I have mutual funds as well. Uh, I'm sure mutual funds had money on NVIDIA, but as far as me personally investing stuff in NVIDIA, I did not. So to answer your question, mainly staying focused and trying to be a master of what I do in my area.
How do you just find success as a hedge fund manager beyond just portfolio performance?
The thing I like to see most is getting my clients to to understand why they are investing in this. If they're just here thinking it's a stock tip, they're going to panic sell it. They're going to call me up and they're going to say, Scott, the price is down. I want my money back. I want to get out now before I lose any more or whatever. Uh, we try to avoid that by buying at low prices for starters. And then, but education is educating my clients on what Bitcoin is, educating them on why the price is going up or why the price is going down, why it's choppy. Uh, so what I want to give them is just quick informational pieces. Frequently, they can call me anytime they want. They've got my number. The other day I got on uh, Google Voice. I was having trouble with Google Voice, and I wanted some help. I went to Google Voice in my account, and it has a button that says, click here for a phone call or texting or a bot. Oh, it sounds simple. I did that. And all I got was page after page. There was no phone number. There was no email. There was no texting. It was just all this stuff about how I could solve this problem myself if I just read all these pages. And I thought, this is exactly what I don't want my clients doing. I want them to pick up the phone. They've already got my number and just call me when they've got questions. Say, Scott, why is the market going down? Why is Congress not passed Clarity Act yet? Whatever they need to do, but getting them educated. And part of that is going to be education just through me, and they can have direct access. They do have direct access to me to get their questions answered.
And when you look at the crypto asset space today, what are some qualities of the asset class that you think are most important to many investors in the space?
One is patience. In this market, you got to have a lot of patience. Conviction comes again through education. The patience, you got to have long-term thinking here. If you're not thinking, if you're going to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, you better be thinking at least 5, if not 10, 20 years out, because these things are going to be big ups and big downs. And when it goes down, it might be down for a year or two. So you can't just sell it because you're frustrated with it, because you're going to give up the gains you had, or maybe you're selling below what you bought it at. Patience, conviction, and thinking for yourself. Like my example on Netflix, I made good money on Netflix because that just made sense to me as a business person. How Netflix has had a huge advantage there. And that was in the days where I didn't do a lot of deep dives on companies before I invested in them. I just, I learned a few things and I went with it. And Netflix, it just made sense to me. And when I researched blockchain, I started buying it in early 2020. It just made sense to me. So thinking for yourself, conviction, and patience, that's what you need.
When you look at crypto assets over, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years, what are some trends that you're seeing that you believe sophisticated investors should pay more attention to?
Yeah, I would say for sophisticated investors, if you're not already in crypto, just getting into crypto is a good move. Putting 5%, maybe 10% of your portfolio in an asset like crypto or Ethereum or Solana, one of the bigger coins, something you've researched. That's a step forward for if you're not already in crypto. I was thinking about the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink. He's put out the message. He feels that everybody should put 5% into Bitcoin, and that's a big statement. BlackRock is the largest financial institution in the world. They manage like 13, 12 $13 trillion. They're the largest asset manager. They're bigger than Vanguard, bigger than Fidelity, and he's saying put 5% into Bitcoin. So if you're a sophisticated investor and you're not in, it's probably time to take a serious look at it. The people who are already in crypto, then they're going to look for something a little different. They're probably going to study more AI. AI is going to be huge. It's going to be with us forever. And that's a good analogy right there. Some people think, blockchain's not going to be around. That's like saying AI is not going to be around. AI is the next step up in how we know technology. We're not going back. It's too late. The genie's out of the bottle. And the same with in Bitcoin, blockchain. We're already using it. So many companies are already using blockchain. And for the end users, the retail users like us, we're going to be using blockchain every day and not even know it. All the stuff that we have in our cloud services, everything, all the apps on our phone, all the apps on our computers, all these things which are now stored in the cloud on centralized servers, which are a feeding ground for hackers. The servers, or the centralized servers, the databases, those are going to be the people who are going to move to blockchain. And all of our stuff on our phones and our computers, that's going to go with it. So it's not like the retail user like us needs to put a lot of thought into how we're going to use blockchain. We're not going to have to do much, because it's going to be people who are running our phones and saving all the information on our apps. It's those people. It's our banks. It's Fidelity. It's Vanguard. It's stock exchange. All these things will be going to blockchain. And as the end user, we really don't have to do much. So in my opinion, it's not going away. It's an advancement like AI, and we're not going back.
As you continue to build Crypto Investment Partners LP, what type of culture are you trying to create at the firm?
I want a culture of just being open, honest, transparent, and educational. They have my phone number. They can call me anytime they want, ask questions anytime they want. I don't have them jumping through 100 hoops to get to me. But I want them to learn a bit about it if they're so inclined. I mean, that's the only way they're going to have conviction to hold it through a down market. And then there will always be down markets. As the crypto markets get bigger, those down markets won't be quite as deep as they are now. But really just having firsthand ability for them to get a hold of me. That's one of my, just being transparent about what we're doing.
If someone were meeting you for the first time, what's one thing you would like them to know about Crypto Investment Partners LP, whether it's the firm's culture, strategy, approach? What would be something you would like to point out?
Couple things. One would be the crypto is not going away. I don't. People who are deep into crypto, I think we understand that blockchain is not going away. I mean, it'll evolve. There'll be thousands of changes, thousands of companies that are going to go broke. But those are the smaller coins. It's not going to be those 2 or 3 that I keep mentioning up top, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. But crypto's not going away. And the other thing would be that I'm a conservative crypto investor. I'm not chasing coin number 50 or number 75 or number 400, trying to get a 1000x gain. No, I want reasonable gains that places like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana have proven that they can provide, as long as you buy at the right price. So my philosophy would be, I like to think of myself as a value crypto investor, that I'm conservative and that crypto is not going away.